Backers, Insane Mike here. Time for another video update. On this video update, I'm going to be talking about more books in my book collection. Last one I did was my movie guide book collection, and that seemed to go over pretty well. Had some comments on that, and Attacker Roman suggested I do one on my makeup books because I'm a filmmaker. I dabble in all aspects of filmmaking, but I also do a lot of like special makeup effects. I've done makeup effects for other people's films as well as my own. And that's what I thought I wanted to be after high school, was a makeup effects artist. So much so I went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh to learn how to do makeup effects. So I'm going to show you my makeup book collection, which also is interesting because it's going to kind of sort of take you through the history of my makeup effects. And then when I was really first start getting into horror movies, one of the things that really turned me on to horror films was the craftsmanship of special makeup effects. And that's what I thought I wanted to do. So even dating all the way back to like the 9th grade, I've always been playing around with latex and makeups and stuff. And so much so to that, some of that I did some makeup on some school plays and projects and stuff like that. And our high school drama teacher, at the end of my senior year, he's kind of cleaning out his bookshelves, purging his bookshelves in his classroom, and he gives me probably the first 2 books in my makeup book collection, and I still have them to this day. There's this one here. It's three-dimensional makeup. This book is like super old. This dates all the way back to high school, and it is a really good book as far as like it's got how to make plaster molds and running latex through those molds, applying things like bald caps or latex appliances and such. So it's a really great book to get you started in makeup effects, especially three-dimensional makeup effects through appliances and whatnot. So it was a great help as far as like learning how to make casts and whatnot. And to go with that, he also gave me this book here, Stage Makeup. And these are awesome. I mean, they're nice hardbound books. I still, reference them sometimes to this day. This one, obviously is more for stage. So some of the actual makeups and line works are a bit more exaggerated, as you can probably see on the cover here, because lining for the stage and the fact that your audience is so far out distance from you that to really pull off those makeups, they need to be exaggerated and a little bit more, I don't want to say cartoony, but you just see how much harsher the lines are, where up close it's definitely not in reality, but from a distance they play much better under the stage lights. So but it's still a good book because it's got it's got some techniques in there that can translate over to film. One of the effects artists that I loved and admired, that got me into wanting to do special makeup effects, was of course Tom Savini. So big Tom Savini fan, and I had to get the Grand Illusions books. When I was a kid, reading Fangoria magazine, always saw Grand Illusions advertised in Fango. I knew I wanted this book and finally found it. But when I found it, I also had found part 2. So I didn't even know at the time that he had 2 Grand Illusion books. And these books are great because it literally, it's got like a bunch of cool, if we go here, just right away, like Deranged. He did makeup on Deranged with Alan Ornsby, and so it's even got like some like behind the scenes pictures. One thing you could say about Savini is that he always did a good job of like documenting the films that he worked on. He would always either have like a video camera with him or make sure he took a lot of pictures, and so a lot of those pictures has shown up in the book which is really, really cool because now you got like, some fun behind the scenes pictures, but also really helps with the how to. Like if we got Creep Show here, let me see if I can find. Yeah, it kind of shows you, the build of the animatronic on Fluffy's mouth there for the crate. It also has included some of his like sketches that he did for the design on the makeups and the creatures and whatnot. And it's very, very, very extensive because it covers, like, book one covers every film he had worked on up to that point. We're talking from Death Dream all the way up to, what's the last book in here, or last movie in this book? It looks like probably Creepshow. So, and it's got stuff in there that movies that I didn't even know existed or that he did makeups on. Like Eyes of a Stranger is one that he did. There's a movie called Effects from the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s that had been a lost film for years until DVD, until it got released on DVD maybe like 10, 15 years ago. Maybe a little longer than that. But yeah, totally lost film. And it even has makeups in here from his, and I know I've brought this up on the show even recently, this Asian film that he did effects for called Until Death Do You Scare. And so it's even got, and he's got some cool color photos in the middle of the book, but right there is some of the, is like one of the creatures that he did for that particular movie. In here also, it's got like a 2-page spread here on how to cast a head, to do a life cast. It's got everything in here from like the top of the line makeup techniques to the home-brewed stuff that he came up with. Like taking something as simple as taking, like for the movie Martin, I think is the first time he used it, if I can find it here, in Martin, where he would take simple effect, and simple effects super cheap to do. I've done it dozens of times myself. You take like a razor blade, you dull down an end of it and kind of file it off there, so it's not so sharp, and it also looks a little smaller than the other end of the blade. Then you take like, one of those like things that you can suck the snot out of a baby's nose, fill it full of blood. You palm the little pump thing in your hand, hold the razor, and then when you run it across, say like the razor blade like across your arm, you squeeze the tube and blood shoots everywhere, and it looks like it's coming from your leg as it kind of follows along the dulled down blade. So simple effects like that to like working with foam latex and everything. And so book 2 extends after that, because like I said, this one, book 1 stops at Creepshow. This one goes on to cover everything from Friday the 13th, the final chapter, all the way to Mr. Stitch, which is one of the last effects films I think he ever did. Mr. Stitch, if you've never seen it, early 80s film starring Will Wheaton, of all people. But yeah, I think it's got a lot of films in here that I think like people didn't realize he did. Like he did makeup on Killing Zoe, or is it Zoe's Killing Zoe? But it's also got like a really cool little chapter here on punching hair, which I've never been able to do because I don't have the patience for it. So those are probably my favorite books out of my entire makeup book collection. But moving on, because I'm rambling, I know. So then graduated from high school, and I decided, that I wanted to get into makeup effects. So I attended the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. This is my old Art Institute of Pittsburgh catalog, where it's got, I still have it. I'm ridiculous. I'm such a hoarder. But it's got all the different departments, that you can take. If you wanted to do, if you wanted to be in fashion design, you could go to the Art Institute and become and learn fashion design. It's got so here was my course. The technical term for the program was the Industrial Design Technology program. And so you can see right there, doing like sculpting and a lot of drafting and stuff like that involved as well. So yeah, still have my Art Institute of Pittsburgh catalog book that I think I got in the mail when I got accepted into the Art Institute. Once I got to the Art Institute, obviously you got to go and pick up your recommended supplies for the from the supply store, the bookshop, if you will, or whatever, for the Art Institute. So I had to get my things like my T-square, some plasticine, clay, my art portfolio bag, all of which I still have to this day. I still have my T-square. I still have my portfolio bag. And for some reason, on the criteria of stuff that you needed, I don't want to say for some reason, but it makes sense to me. But one of the requirements was to have the Dick Smith Do-It-Yourself Monster Makeup Handbook. This book, it's been in print for decades. Dick Smith, obviously one of the masters of makeup effects. This is a great book full of amazing techniques. Now, at first glance, though, it comes off as like maybe more of a children's book. Here we have step-by-step instructions on how to make a ghoul makeup. You got the over fun font there for the chapter, and then as you go through, you're just like seeing, oh, well, it's just like, latex and cotton build up and painted and whatnot. A lot of like supplies you can get from around the house. But so at first I'm like, okay, I love Dick Smith and everything, but really, I want to learn how to do professional makeup effects, and I'm having to read this book. Once you get over that, you realize that this book is Bible. It has tons of amazing techniques, and what's great is that it doesn't matter what level you're at. If you just dabble with effects from stuff around your house to working in the big leagues, all of it can derive from Dick Smith and the techniques he uses in this book. It does have a cool chapter in here about making fake teeth, which is fun. Another chapter into making your own bald caps, which is a technique I still use to this day. Where basically you take a rubber ball, like you play with on a playground or whatever, and coat it in latex. You do a layer, let it dry, do a layer, let it dry until it gets to the thickness that you want. Then you peel it off and trim it to fit your actor, as far as like cutting up around the ears and stuff. So instead of buying like a $10 to $20 professionally made bald cap, just make your own with a rubber bouncy ball. Genius. So then from there, another, not necessarily a book. This is out of my magazine collection. Maybe I'll show that someday. Out of my magazine collection, there is this one particular special issue that Fangoria put out called Horror Effects. This magazine right here, this is probably a magazine that I've used more than maybe most of the books that I have. So I wanted to make sure I showed that as well. It's really cool. Got tons of articles by a lot of great effects artists. Shows you how they did all the special effects for some of these movies. Then it also does give you a lot of great step-by-steps on things as well. So it's a great magazine. I still refer to it a lot. So the only thing that isn't really helpful anymore, but it definitely was back in the day, but it has a source catalog at the end where you can get your supplies from. So it was really an amazing magazine. And then, so those are the big ones. I have a few others here. There's this book here, Design Your Face, which is a good book. I feel like if you want to do makeup effects on any level, you can go into it like I did when I got out of high school. It's like, man, I want to make torn off faces and monsters and, exploding heads and spilling guts and, creatures and whatnot. And one of my first teachers taught us how to do like old age makeup and making prosthetics for like extended different body features or whatever in the realistic thing. And I'm just like, man, that's not what I want to do. But the guy my teacher opened my eyes up to be like, if you can do the realistic stuff, the other stuff is a piece of cake, because we all know what an old man looks like, right? um, so if you can trick somebody with an old age makeup, then you obviously did a good job. No one knows what like um, a zombie is supposed to look like, right? There are no such things as zombies. But you could do a kick-ass looking zombie makeup, and there's no frame of real reference for it. So this book is really helpful, because I feel like if you're going to do any kind of makeup effects, you got to know the basics first. And you got to know, I feel like you really do need to know cosmetics, cosmetic makeup. And that's what this book is about. Because a lot of it is all about whether you're doing cosmetic makeup or stage makeup or makeup for films. It's all about highlighting or hiding or accentuating features. And so you got to know shadows. You got to know where to highlight and what to. So this is a great book for that. Got this at I think at a library sale when they were flushing out books. My last one that I have is a fun little book. This one here is Theatrical Makeup Effects, and it even comes with like a little how-to DVD, which is nice. But this is a pretty fun book. It's got some cool things in it that you can do. And again, it's theatrical stuff, but it works and applies. And my thing is like, if there is like a makeup that I didn't really like from a book or whatever, or I don't really like it, I still feel like there's something that can be learned from it. Some part of the technique that can be applied to your own makeup art. So, but that's it. I don't have a giant makeup book collection, but those are my books, and most of them have used quite frequently over the years. You can definitely tell by the conditions. So that's all I got, I guess. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being an attacker. It means a lot to us. Keep the show going, and we will talk to you on the next episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.